There are many people that have went to Julliard. There are people that have composed award-winning film scores for movies. But there's only one person that can do all of that. And there's only one person that can do all of that and literally emit sunshine and positivity and inspiration from every word and every note he makes. And today we're honored to hear from the one and only Mr. Jon Batiste. Killing me.
I can early in the morning. Yeah. Hello. How you doing?
Welcome to NAMM.
I'm glad to be here. Hello, everybody. How you doing? I'm glad to be here. This is a blessing. Thank you so much.
Well, we're glad to have you. We want to make sure we thank our friends at Yamaha for making this possible. So give a round for Yamaha. So we thought, inspirations. Let's talk products. What was the first instrument you had your hands on? I know you started as a piano player.
Yes.
Metairie, right? Or
Yeah.
Kenna?
I was born in Metairie, and I grew up between Kenna and New Orleans. Both Metairie and Kenna are so small that inconsequential. People call them New Orleans.
Yeah.
Like country suburbs, railroad tracks in between convenience stores.
Yeah. So
I had the first instrument was the drums, actually,
Really?
not the piano. I started on the drums, and I had my older cousin Jamal, Travis, my late cousin Russell, one of the greatest drummers. Oh, I love that. Yeah, Russell, he played for the Funky Meters,
Oh, yeah.
So when I was a kid, he was in, just at his prime, and that was enough for me to quit the drums. Because there was we had a family band, and then there was a junior family band when I was the youngest of all the cousins and siblings. It's like 7 uncles and 30 cousins. So we couldn't have the junior family band with 4 drummers. So I switched from the drums, and then that's when I went to the piano. That was the early years.
And then growing up, musical family, piano. At what point did you know, or did others know that you had something magical?
Oh, didn't know. And I didn't either. To be honest, it's so funny. I think back to those days, and I was a kid who I didn't speak really until I was 10, like silent. And I had stage fright. I didn't like performing. And I was a late bloomer because, I started on the drums, and my older cousins, they were much more advanced. And then when I started the piano, I was about 11 or 12. And I had colleagues of mine who, by the time they were 12, 13 years old, they were veterans for 10 years on the scene.
Yeah.
My good buddy Trombone Shorty, he was, we started a band when he was 15 and I was 14, and he had been playing for like 10 years and touring the world. It was like my 3rd year on the instrument. So my experience was actually like catching up for the first 10 years of my musicianship. It's like, oh, wow. Because New Orleans is also just, you don't realize how much of an anomaly it is until after you leave. Growing up there, it was like, there was music for everything. There's music for when somebody's born, music for when people pass away, music for rituals, music for certain foods, there's dances, there's second line every Sunday, Super Sunday. So it was all these different forms of music, and it wasn't really separated in this way where it's like you're a classical musician or you're an avant-garde musician. I studied a lot with the avant-garde musicians too. And I just remember it was like, wow, there's so much that I gotta learn. There's so much to catch up on. So I think by the time I was 16 or 17, which is my last year in New Orleans, folks started to notice something. But my early years, beyond, the shadow of a doubt, nobody knew. Like it wasn't a clear, runway to being a musician. It was almost like a thing that you do because in New Orleans everybody plays music and your family is one of the biggest musical families, so you can do something. You got something game.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like, you gonna be what you know.
So as you're catching up and you have musical influences all around you, you're surrounded, and so you're feeling, was there ever a moment like in high school where someone probably asked you this, I think it's a silly question, what do you want to be when you grow up, or what career do you want to go into? Was there ever a thought of a job or a career, or were you just like, I'm going to do music for life?
For one night, I sold hot dogs at the Superdome.
Lucky Dogs?
Yeah,
The
Lucky.
good one? Oh, the good one. I remember that. 18 years in Louisiana.
Yeah, Lucky Dogs.
I'm 10 years in Louisiana, my friend. I'm not Lucky Dogs. They're better at 2:30 a.m.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Don't get the ones at midnight. There's
The time that you should be eating the hot dog is when it's the best. That's right. No, the Lucky Dog, I sold it. I was so bad at it. I mean, you go someplace and you complain about service, maybe, then you realize once you're in that position, it's like, man, this is hard. At least for me. I would be breaking the bread, and then I'd be like, oh man, I forgot to put the thing that, I'm thinking about music. Got my manuscript paper in the back. I'm writing tunes, and it's just like, yeah, that wasn't for me. So I did that. I cut grass. I was always in the neighborhood. That was a big thing in Kenner. You get the grass cutting business.
I'll tell you one thing, down there too, you can watch it grow. I cut grass 3 days later, it's already a foot high.
That's why it's a
Good business. I did it too, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, that sun, the humidity is perfect. Cut your grass, I'll come back next week. So I did that. I'm a huge fan of Forrest Gump, so when that movie came out, I was like, oh, that's my rebel, that's him, I'm him. But, so no, I didn't really do anything else. And I never thought of doing anything else because, by the time I was 17, as I was saying, I started kind of this development arc from, 14 to 17, where it was very quick and feel like something just clicked. So I graduated high school a year early and I moved to New York. And I was still a minor. I was in New York working, going to school, figuring it out. And then I just looked up one day, I was like, man, I'm a musician. I'm making a living doing it. I got a band, got a gig at a supper club, and we play, 4 sets a night, and half off food. So if the fee you get for the 4 sets is enough to pay maybe for the 3 of us to eat. But it was not like, I wasn't thinking about it like that. I was thinking about it like, oh man, I'm working and I'm not in the safe space of being in New Orleans with my family. I'm out in the world and I'm doing the thing. So that was encouraging. And then from there, I just kind of stuck with it and took it wherever it landed.
How was that transition moving from New Orleans to New York? I mean, what was that like for you? 17 years old, surrounded by family, music, and I moved from New Orleans to Boston at one point in my life, and I remember like Northeast versus Louisiana. Yeah, I see you. Yeah, tell me the truth. Tell me what's behind that grin, because I never had the same experience. What was it like?
First thing you realize is I got to get a winter coat.
And that Canadian Goose too. You got to get the good one, because it's cold.
You got to get that old thick old bubble. I had no winter coat. The thing that I thought was a winter coat my entire life was really just like a spring, overhaul. Just nothing possible for this winter season that I was dealing with. I remember I used to wear these Chuck Taylors all the time, the Converse All-Star. I had all these different colors. I used to wear them when I performed with a suit. So I go up in New York, I thought I was hip. I had these Converse on, and they had a hole in the bottom, and it was snowing. It was during the winter season. I was walking around, and I walk into the concert hall, and it's like my feet were lily pads.
Yeah.
It's this experience that one after the other of just, I mean, that was a rough one. I think the first 3 weeks, not even the first month of being in New York, I almost fainted in the subway. I got pneumonia, and I was in the hospital for a week or so. I didn't tell my folks, so nobody was coming in. It was like one of those moments of truth, like, should I go back home? It was one of those whole situations. But that was cool because it was real. I just love when real life happens, It's amazing to deal with real melancholy. That's how you get joy. Like, you gotta deal with, it's like a muscle, You can't actually be joyous if you don't touch the other side of it. And as a kid, that was a big thing, like to feel like, man, I'm finally getting somewhere with this music thing, and then you get in the city, bop, boom, bam, shambles. And then it's like, oh man, and it's cold. So I think that was like, it's not necessarily New York, but that was, I think, a coming of age. It was a moment of, and I always associate that with going to New York, like figuring out what you made of, what you want to do. Do you really love this thing? Come on, son, get in there, stay in the fight, jam.
You know what I love is, we're hearing a lot about who makes you today because you're immediately relating your personal experiences. I mean, look, we all think we know everything at 17, 18 years old, but now we say we didn't know anything. But as you're figuring life out in a new area and learning music, like all of that comes together and probably helps develop you. So in New York, let's talk about this little school you went to in New York, right? You go to Julliard. You come from musical family, New Orleans, music for everything, and you bring you and your style, and then you're surrounded by all kinds of musicians, different types. What did that feel like? Did you feel maybe a fish out of water? Did you feel like you were right there? What was that moment of integrating with all the other folks at Julliard?
Wow. No, that's the part I love. I love musicians. And then I just love musicians. I loved all the kids, man. We meet people from all over the world. It's like a crazy thing. You see somebody and they're on a parallel journey to you and you never met them, but they just from somewhere that you've never been. And it's such a mystery to you to think about, wow, what is it like to go and play music where you're from, or like trading stories, or trading the things musicians love to talk about, just like boring inside. I love that part. That was good because that's when I started to form a community. And it's like the band Stay Human came from this idea that we were playing in jazz clubs and supper clubs, as I was saying. Then we were like, this environment feels like it's separated from the people, and just having these conversations, these philosophical conversations at diners late at night or in practice rooms. You get this idea, what if we played in the streets? What if we took the music and brought it back to the people? What if we played in the subways? And that's how I kind of started my band. That band, at least for the first few years, that was the same band playing the subway that was on the Colbert Show. And you just see how these seeds of community and the ideas that you find people who are like-minded from all different walks of life, and y'all come together, you can make something that's just so special. So I had a lot of experiences like that, relationships, friendships. And now when it came to the administration and fitting into the mold, I think maybe I was a bit of a disruptor. Not on purpose. I just thought naively, and now it's more this way, but when I was there, I thought, there's an orchestra over here, and there's these incredible movement artists that are over here, and the drama division has these people who have this incredible ability to just orators. It's like you could imagine, what if I wrote a symphony and had this person recite the libretto, and we put movement to it, and then we had the jazz band come in, and we made this thing, and then we went down to the division where they explore all of these electronic music, and we went to the historical music division, and we said, what if we put like this harpsichord over here with the sampler or the Max MSP, and we put them together and we created this thing, and everybody was like, this is not what this is built for. You just here to play the piano, please sit down.
Yeah. Anyone in higher ed knows, but you're trying to get multiple departments to talk to each other?
Like, what are you doing? Bruh, sit down. Stop. And you know, I would just do it anyway in makeshift ways. And I think that was part of it, and also just kind of I think I've learned more and more over the years how to be a human. Like, because, you know, when you have this sort of, I had a lot of learning to do as far as just, you know, when you have neurodivergent things, and they sent me to the psychiatrist, they had to ask me questions and stuff. I remember that, my first year. They were like, why do you act that way?
That's what the psychiatrist asked?
In so many words. It was like, why are you like this? And I was like, what's wrong with the way that I, you know, just so many stories. Wow, you're bringing me back, man. But I think about it, it all was good. Everything was good. The good was good, the bad was good. And it's just, that's how I ended up being the person that I am today, so I wouldn't change any of it.
No, I don't think we should ever change any of it.
No, you gotta shake, rattle, and roll.
They say make your mess your message. That's the one, right? You know?
It's messy. Man, that's a good vibe in here.
This is the main vibe.
This is my first time at NAMM.
This is your first time. Hope it's not your last.
This definitely won't be. What happens?
So this is the world's largest gathering of the music products industry. Everyone who makes, manufactures, sells, distributes, teaches, and uses professionally any music product is here. We have 123 countries, 65,000 people, students, artists, everyone between, and they gather to do business, but you know what? They gather to be family, because this is where our global music products industry comes together.
Good job, John.
The only place in the world. And this is what you feel when you're in family. Yeah. It's like 65,000 cousins, and yeah, we have too many drummers. We gotta get more some piano players, they're right over there, you know, but
Man, I heard that. I was listening over there. Somebody was playing. It was like somebody was playing like a Schumann thing, and then somebody was playing Charlie Brown at the same time. I find that to be my dream. I love that.
next album.
Yeah. What's up? So, how do I'm asking you questions.
It's not out. I never get to be asked questions. It's great.
So how do I join NAMM? Like, how do I?
You are part of NAMM. You are here because really it's about our, you know, we invest, we're the association that represents every company. So what we think about is how do we make everyone who makes and sells music products stronger? How do we help them reach more music makers? How do we create more music makers in the world? How do we help connect them to artists, influencers? And so you are here because Yamaha is a very strong member in NAMM, and this is what we do. We work with our partners, we bring together amazing artists, we inspire each other, and we spend the rest of the year working to make a more musical world. That's NAMM.
Yeah.
That's why everyone's so happy.
Yeah.
This ain't insurance conference. It ain't a hot dog conference. They might have hot dogs. I don't know. I don't get to eat at these things. They don't feed me. They do water me though. It's nice. So musically, right? I think I know the answer to this question, but I was going to ask it. Do you feel like you're on top of your game right now, or do you feel? I mean, you're about to sing a little song at a little sport event next week or 2 weeks from now. You're just touring the world. Is this? Do you feel like you've made it, or you feel like you're just still on this rise? Where do you feel like you're at?
Man, that's deep. That's a deep question, man. That's deep. Because I have to reframe how I think about it. I don't even think about it in those terms. Like, I don't think about it in terms of rise. If I thought about it like that, let's see. Well, first, let me tell you how I think about it. And then I'll think about how I want to answer that part. So it's like, you have such a short amount of time on earth, right? It's deep because it's finite, but you don't know when. So you wake up and it's like, wow, I'm here. And then there's stuff that you can do, and you get ideas. Then you say, okay, well, let me see, well, what I have, can I make this idea a reality? Or like, if you want to play something, man, that'd be amazing if I could play that, or you get inspired by something, or you feel even, when we were kids, we'd be competitive with each other and be like, man, I heard Sullivan, he played this, or I heard Troy did, how do we, and then you just pursue that, and there's like always something that you're curious about. So for me, it's about, how can I stay as curious as possible? Because chasing passion, even that is fleeting. That's not, because the passion, feelings, okay, feelings or something. But curiosity. So if you have this opportunity to pursue something, and it's driving you, and you're curious about it, it puts more fire onto your curiosity, and just continues to build like that. That's exciting. If I didn't have that, I would just not do music. So that's how I think about it. If I feel like I don't have that, I take a step back. And when I do have that, I try to put all of my forces towards that. And as far as a rise, not to flip it like that, a rise, well, what am I climbing?
Yeah.
And what, because the premise of that is like, you're reaching for something that you don't have. And then you get there and you have it. I don't understand that. That's tricky. That's a dangerous way to think. Because then you start to measure things. It's hard for me to conceptualize that question.
Well, I kind of set you up because I was hoping you would say that. We do a lot. One of the most important things we think about here is careers and workforce development. We have tens of thousands of students and young folks and artists here thinking about their career. Yeah. And we have actually the next session in this room is a careers panel. We're sitting professionals with students and doing networking. We do so much of this. And to hear you say that is an inspiration for anyone learning music, because you're right. We have this idea. I told you earlier, the silly question, where are you going to be when you grow up? But what you just said about we're rising to something, well, then you're always upset because you're not there, and then you get it. You wonder if it's like a dog chasing a car or something, So you just seem to embody like living in the moment and making the most beauty out of the people around you and not worry about a path.
Well, to me, curiosity is a path, which is not a path that is something you can measure. It's something that it's a way of life, it's a philosophy. Because then you can create things that have that spark. And it becomes limitless, and you don't know what's next. And the hard thing about that is, how do you make a living doing that? So what I've tried to figure out is, okay, how do you balance the mammoth mechanics of an industry that sometimes you agree with and sometimes you don't, and the values of which sometimes you align with and sometimes you don't. and still make things that are driven from that place, where you that child, you're like, yeah, I love this, I want to do this, then I'm gonna figure out how to do this, even if they don't want me to do this, I'm gonna do this. So I think that comes in community, figuring out, if I was talking to somebody about a career, trying to make a career out of doing that, versus a career out of chasing the archetype that's laid before you, even if it doesn't match you, it doesn't make you feel empowered, or it doesn't make you feel lifted to want to pursue it, which I would never advise you to do ever, 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 ever. Then you have to build protections around yourself. Because I believe if you have that spark of curiosity that drives you to do something, there's people out there that it's going to resonate with. And you just got to protect yourself so that you could survive and thrive and be healthy long enough for it to reach the people that it's meant to reach. So it's less actually about creating an outward motivation. It's more about insulating yourself. You got to have protectors around you if you're an artist. Artists, musicians, is very sensitive people. Very, very sensitive, very empathetic. There's a depth of humanity that anybody who decides to pursue music for a living has to have. You wouldn't do it. You wouldn't choose to pursue that and to craft something that you feel is beautiful that you want to share with other people out of nothing. There's music, there's like an instrument, it's an inanimate object, and you want to make something. You want to build something and document it and share it. That's a wow. So to want to do that, and then the response of the world and the lack of alignment and understanding, oftentimes you kind of get beat up a lot. So the key to having a career is to actually figure out how do you find the people, and it doesn't necessarily have to be other musicians. A great team is, it's like for basketball analogy, it's the role players. Everybody's not playing the same position. You got the big old trees underneath the goal, and then you got the point guard, small, low to the ground, Steph Curry. So he's actually a shoot guard too. But like just the idea of finding that alchemy of people, and then once you have that, leaning into the things that make you feel most alive, that you really are driven to do, even if they feel it's not about it being different, because sometimes the things that I want to do align perfectly with the moment. Great, that's work for us to do. Other times it's like, why, what? Amen. But just letting that be the true north every time. I know this isn't the career panel, but I just wanted to share that.
Talk to us about what you got going on this year. What does 2025 have in store? Something.
2020. So I'm excited because my wife wrote a book, and I did a little piece in it, but it's a book that she wrote, and we're doing an amazing thing together. We're gonna go on tour together for the first time. I love it. It's sometimes it's scary. You think, oh man, like
us as musical makers and retailers, but also people that inspire our entire global community to want to work harder and do better. And we want to present you this year as a 2025 NAMM Music for Life honoree. So it's heavy too, it's really, I know, yeah. Congratulations, Jon. Woo! Thank you. Maybe TikTok will take it down again. Who knows? See what happens. Everyone everyone get their photos? I'll hold this for you for a second. Would you be so kind? We've heard your words. We've felt your energy. Can we hear a little of your music?
Oh yeah.